this. It won't work if I do something like.
You can play together with I believe that hip-hop and jazz have something very deep in common. Do you think that flow and swing are two similar concepts in your opinion?
Yes, I think that the enunciation, the spoken word, the importance of it is very important, and if that flow and swing isn't mixing correctly or properly, it might be difficult for the person enunciating. Well, for Napoleon, I mean, it might not be that difficult because he's got the chops where, you know, he can just do whatever, you know, the situation might call for. But for others, it might be difficult, you know, in order for them to feel right about the moment if those two things aren't, you know, working together properly.
Okay. You played together since 2004, correct?
No, since we played together since like was it late 90s?
Yeah, maybe
like
99.
In his what? I mean.
Yeah, in his what? Yeah. That's when we met. When his what was playing a concert, and Hamid came to my city on tour with Ken Vandermark and
Ken Kessler.
DKB, yeah. And so we started talking then, we became friends, and then in the next year or something like that, we started working together.
So you know each other very well, musically speaking, and
yeah, for many years, and well, in a lot of ways.
Well, I was wondering about playing together, a drummer and a beatboxer. Does it open new rhythmic and musical solution and ideas for both of you? What is your way of working together, of mixing two different rhythms can mix together and make a new rhythm?
Well, if I can just say something real quickly about how Napoleon as a beatboxer, you know, inspires me, because there's some things that I have to really say. There's some things that he can do, you know, with the beatbox, which can be difficult to do on the drum set, you know, because the simultaneous sounds that he can produce, you know, it seems like the voice, his voice has a lot of limbs. You know, I have four. You know, I got these two legs, these two arms.
But they're Hamid limbs, they're Hamid arms and legs, so that's already. Yeah.
But I have to say, when we first started working together, I was amazed, you know, at the profoundness, you know, of what he could do, you know, with the beatbox, with the rhythms and the sound, and so that's really inspired me, you know, a lot. And also, interesting enough, it's caused me to go deeper into a tradition that I come from, you know, which is you know, kind of like the funk R&B, you know, tradition.
Yeah.
You know, it gave me the inspiration to go deeper, you know, into that. You know, so I don't know if I've ever told him that or not, you know, but it's true, you know.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
You have another.
But he might want to add on to that, because that's a very profound question. It's a great question, you know.
I don't know if I want to. I mean, sometimes, you know, if somebody gives you, we have a saying in English, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, which means like if somebody gives you something, then don't go back. If it's a great gift, don't go back to that person asking for too much more. So Hamid said it biggest, one of the greatest compliments. So I don't want to disturb the. I don't want to disturb that flow.
But that's a great question, though, man. It really is, you know.
No, yeah. On the other hand, there's a lot of stuff that I can't do. That I try to imagine. How can I compliment? How can I think as a drummer would think? But there's a limit to what I can do because I have one mouth. So it's kind of the same. It's the reverse thing. Like I'm listening to what Hamid is doing, and it makes me want to go deeper into rhythmic possibilities and understanding. Like, okay, well, of course, a funky beat from the hip hop perspective is usually to, you know, boom boom cat to boom boom cat. So obviously, what Hamid does that's funky makes me really inspired to, okay, research how can I be funky if I'm playing something in 5, or how can I be funky if I'm playing in a 6/8 groove that people don't normally do hip hop on a 6/8 groove. How can I? So that's my inspiration from him.
Advanced musical thinking.
It is, but it shows you also that beatboxing is like it's an amazing sort of phenomenon in a way.
Yeah.
It's very natural, you know. It's very natural. I mean, it seems like it'd be the most natural thing to do, right? But also, it's an amazing phenomenon, and I'm surprised that it didn't come around like a lot sooner. I mean, there's people scatting and stuff, but that's a little different, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised it didn't come around even sooner, you know, because it just seems natural. It's an amazing phenomenon.
Okay. I listened to a beautiful album from that band.
The band
Reggaeology. Well, I play reggae, so I really love that record. And it seems that reggae, maybe from the early 80s, I remember, for instance, some Miles Davis tunes like Kicks, or even other bands more in the late 90s. It seems that reggae has become a stream of pure water for jazz. Has reggae always been one of your main influences? Do you listen to reggae a lot?
Well, I'm going to try to answer that first because I know that Hamid can have a discography conversation, like a deep, a wealth.
Is he cracking you up or what?
So, because I'm going to interrupt so I have a chance to speak about that. Because for me, I love reggae and hip hop, obviously, but I think that the roots of hip hop that are attached to reggae, people often don't realize how much hip hop relied on reggae for the development for the birth of hip hop. It wouldn't happen without reggae. So from that perspective, but also listening to, there was a time where I was listening every day to a lot of Still Pulse, Bob Marley, and mainly those two groups I would listen to over and over again, and I knew all the songs. So I'm very inspired by reggae, but I also found that because of something about my background and something about the soul and the roots of where my parents come from, the South, there's something from the old South, from the, you know, my father was born in the 20s and my mother was born in the 40s. So all of that time, if you're in the rural U.S. and you're close to the earth, there's something that's very African that's connected to your story. And reggae is probably, there's something about Jamaica and the reggae story that preserved something very African, the nine bingy drum or whatever different things you can talk about. So before I knew where that was coming from, there was always that in me, and then I found out, oh, okay, that's that skank, that's the reggae. So from there on, it turned over to Hamid.
Now, what Napoleon said is very true, and you know, also the South, you know, is very important, and you know, New Orleans, for instance, is known as the northern tip of the Caribbean.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And there was a sharing going back and forth too, because we know now that a lot of the reggae musicians were listening on the airwaves to music coming from New Orleans. But I think reggae for me also has been a very big, you know, influence as a music that, you know, just love. And Steel Pulse, of course, was one of my favorites, you know, and Bob Marley also, and then others. But I had never heard, maybe just because of my ignorance, but I had never heard beatbox with reggae before. Yeah. You know, and I was dying. I wanted to hear that, you know, and to hear how that would work out. And with Napo's background, you know, and many different forms of music, you know, he would be the perfect person, you know, to bring that forth, you know. So I can't say that, you know, with Bendu Reggaeology we created something new, but I think it was something that was very interesting, you know, because I always wanted to hear like the beatbox with reggae also, and especially in the jazz reggae context too, to see how that would really flow, you know, and work, you know. And but there's another element also. Like I played in a lot of reggae bands, but there wasn't always a lot of room for soloing. Maybe the guitar player might take a little solo, or maybe the sax player or something, but it's like with Bendu Reggaeology, like Napoleon is featured as a soloist also, you know, beatbox soloist, you know, not just beatboxing with the tunes, and it's not just also you have beatbox and you have the reggae. No, it's like it's this, you know, it's like one thing, you know, and what we might call that I don't know. But it's not like, okay, you have this and you have that. No, it's a togetherness, you know. And you know.
Well, you, Hamid, are a founder of Mandingo Griot Society.
One of them. There's four founders.
With percussionist Adam Rudolph, whom I met in Torino last September, playing with Yusef Latif.
Oh yeah.
And an incredible Gambian musician, Fodai Musa Suzu.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the bass player Joe Thomas.
Yeah, he's a griot.
Yes.
So he's a West African storyteller, praise singer, poet.
Yes.
Do you consider MCs or jazz musicians a sort of a modern griot?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, not just jazz musicians, but hip-hop musicians, you know, everybody that's a part of this great tradition, you know, and all of these different musics that we're talking about, they're part of a great tradition, you know, like, I mean, tonight, for instance, I mean, Napoleon was enunciating history, you know. With each piece we did, you know, you notice he said something about the composition itself, but also what this means, like karma, you know, and so forth, what all that means. So the griot tradition, it's continuing today. It hasn't stopped, and it's something that I think people with intelligence, you know, that have continued in this great tradition, yes, they're griots. They are griots without a doubt, you know, and historically we can say for African American music, the tradition started in Africa, but also you have griots in traditional Irish music, you know, the Celtic music. You have griots in traditional, like the traditional music from the south of Italy. What do you call it? Tarantella.
Yeah, tarantella.
You know? It's griot music, you know. But the beautiful thing about that, though, which is very unique, it's a griot tradition that's held by the women, right? You know, because it's, you know, it's partially, I would say, their tradition also. So that tradition is held by women also, which I think is really profound. But we find griots all over the world. So just give us a question off the top of your head.
Oh wow! What are you doing tomorrow? You're playing.